Hello everyone, RJ from Vidhya Communication Enhancers is back again. Today I have one more interesting story. The boy who kept waiting to become himself. When he was 14, he thought he would become someone great. He didn't know exactly who, but he knew he was capable of more. At 16, he still believed it. At 18, he entered college carrying the same belief. Then something slowly changed. He began seeing other people move faster. Someone understand mathematics better. Someone spoke English more confidently. Someone solved problem faster. Someone knew what career they wanted. Someone started earning. He looked at them, then looked at himself, and some something inside him whispered, "You are falling behind." He felt bad, but he didn't work. He watched something instead. The next day he promised himself he could change. He didn't. Another semester passed. Another year. Another promise. Another comparison. Another evening lost. He kept thinking about becoming better, but thinking about becoming better, uh, but thinking about becoming better became a substitute for becoming better. By the time he finished college, he had collected something strange. Thousands of thoughts about his future, hundreds of plans, dozens of possible paths, many things he wanted to learn, but very little evidence that he could sit with something difficult long enough to master it. He entered working life. Nothing changed immediately. He still had ambition, still compared himself, still felt behind, still imagined a better version of himself, still escaped when work became difficult. One night, year after those school days, he sat alone. After another wasted evening, he opened an old school notebook. Inside was a sentence he had written when he was 14. One day, I will become the person I know I can be. He stared at it. 14-year-old him had been waiting for that person. 16-year-old him had been waiting. 18-year-old him had been waiting. 22-year-old him had been waiting. And now he was older, still waiting. Something inside him became very quiet. He suddenly understood the cruelest part. The cruelest part. Nobody had stopped him. There had been no locked door, no impossible obstacle, no person standing between him and his growth. There had simply been thousands of ordinary moments. A difficult chapter, a phone, a difficult problem, a movie, a career decision, and another person's success. A chance to learn, a chance to practice, a chance to ask questions, a chance to begin, and again and again. He had chosen the easier feeling, not because he was weak, because he had practiced that choice until it became automatic. He put notebook down. For the first time, he stopped asking, "Why haven't I become the person I wanted to be?" He asked something harder. What am I teaching myself to become every day? The answer frightened him. Every time he escaped a difficult problem, he was teaching himself, leave, when it became uncomfortable. Every time he compared himself and then did nothing, feeling behind is enough, no action required. Every time he watched, instead of learning, comfort come before truth. Every time he thought about 10 possibilities and started none. Possibility is enough. Execution can wait. Every time he succeeded and stopped pushing. One victory means I can relax. I had been trained. I had been training himself. He had been training himself, just not in the direction he wanted. He closed his eyes. Then another thought came. If repetition had built this person, why couldn't repetition build another? He didn't know. There was no guarantee, no motivational clarity, no promise that he would become exceptional, but for the first time he didn't need one. He only needed to test the idea. The next morning he chose one difficult problem, not 10. One. His mind immediately began producing possibilities. Maybe he should learn something else. Maybe another technology would be better. Maybe someone else was already far ahead. Maybe he wasn't capable. He noticed the thoughts, then asked, what does the problem need from me right now? One question he investigated. He became stuck. He wanted to leave. He stayed for another 10 minutes. He still didn't solve it. But something had happened. He had done something his 14-year-old self had been waiting here to see. He had stayed. The next day he returned. Again he became stuck. Again he stayed. Some days he failed. Some days he learned. Some days he worked badly. Some days he worked well. Some days he compared himself with everyone. Some days he wasted hours. But there was one difference. He stopped using a bad day as evidence that he was a bad person. He stopped using someone else's success as evidence that he was a failure. He stopped demanding that every session produced a breakthrough. His only question became, did I return? Because returning was the skill he had never developed. Year later, someone asked him, how did you finally become confident? He thought about it. I don't. The person looked confused. I still get afraid. I still compare myself. I still want comfort. I still have days when I waste time. Then what changed? He looked at his hands. I stopped treating those feelings as instructions. Whenever fear says stop, I investigate. Whenever I don't understand, I learn. Whenever someone is ahead, I study. Whenever I fail, I find the reason. Whenever I succeed, I ask what comes next. When I waste a day, I return the next day. But most importantly, he paused. I stopped waiting to feel like the person I wanted to become. I started behaving like him before I felt like him. The person asked, wasn't that difficult? Every beginning was. And now he smiled. Now difficult things are still difficult, but I trust myself more. Not because I know I will succeed, because I know what I will do when I don't. He opened his laptop. There was another difficult problem waiting. He looked at it. No speech, no fire, no perfect feeling, just one old familiar discomfort. He felt it. Then he moved toward the problem, and somewhere inside him, the 14-year-old boy finally understood something. You were never supposed to wait for me. I was waiting for you. Read the final exchange again. You were never supposed to wait for me. I was waiting for you. And don't use this story as another thing to consume tonight. If you are able to close this conversation after reading it, spend 15 minutes on one real problem. Not to fix 8 years, not to prove anything, just to give the younger version of you one piece of evidence that this time you returned. So, this story is emphasizing on the fact of one person's life who has wasted 8 years of his life just in comparison, making himself feel bad and not working on himself and making himself what he wanted to be, and he is still waiting. So this is about the today's story. Thanks for listening. Bye guys.